Hi John. So first of all, on the back of last weekend's win over Georgia, how was that as far as head coach is concerned? How do you think it went?
Well, it's no understatement to suggest that everyone was pretty delighted. The performance was excellent, but the result was actually something a little bit special out of that. There you have a World Cup team that's going to compete in the biggest stage in 4 weeks' time, and they've come up here and we've actually given them a good hiding. They've got some work to do, to be honest, to be competitive in the World Cup, but that shouldn't take anything away from our lads on the night, who were superb in anything that they did. I was delighted that we scored 5 tries, and there were 5 good tries, but I was probably even more, from a personal point of view, delighted with the defence, because but for one moment slip, we were absolutely rock solid there, and that was good, and I think that gave everybody a lot of confidence as well. The whole thing, scoring the tries, winning the game, but also being pretty solid in defence too.
You talked about the defence there. Obviously, that's now coming under your remit.
Yeah.
So the specialist defence coach this season as well. Last season, our attack was getting praise all over the shop. What are we changing with the defence this year? Do we expect more of that rock steady defending?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we're a top 6 team in terms of how many tries we're scoring and the points we're scoring, and we can compete with those teams that are in that part of the league. But the table doesn't lie, and we're a bottom 2 team because we're consistently letting in more points than anybody else. We've put a big emphasis on the defence for this pre-season. Only time will tell whether what we've been doing is going to work. It was a good start against Georgia, but we know that if we want to climb up the leagues, we've got to stop people from scoring points.
This weekend we've got Sale in the Kings of the North competition, our first game in the competition. The team that you've announced, can you talk me through that a little bit? What can we expect to see?
Yeah, look, we put out a pretty experienced side against Georgia, as much because even though it's been a pretty long pre-season, we've tried to put a lot of conditioning into that pre-season. We've only started the rugby proper probably about 2 weeks before the Georgia game. So it made a bit of sense to actually have those guys that are a little bit more comfortable with the systems in place, and it was hence the reason why it's a pretty strong side. There's been a lot of other guys that have been training very hard and very well over this pre-season period, and this is their opportunity this weekend to show what they've got to offer. There's trialists amongst that squad, and they need to be given their opportunity to see what they can do. And I'd like to think that whether they're young, old, new, or whatever, that they're actually all fighting for an opportunity to be selected for the first team, or actually fighting for an opportunity for a job, in layman's terms. So I'm hoping that there's enough motivation across the squad, to come out and give Sale a really good competitive game on Sunday.
We've got 9-10 guys away on international duty at the moment. How much, what impact does that have on the squad, having that many guys away at Rugby World Cup?
Well, look, every Premiership squad to some extent or another is going to be compromised by the World Cup. Even though, with all respect for some of those guys, the World Cup may be over for them by the time the first Premiership game is due to kick off. Most of those guys will have actually played the game the previous weekend. We've got to be realistic. We are hopefully going to get a fair number of those guys back very, very soon within the World Cup. That's not suggesting Scotland won't win it or that Samoa won't win it, but we're probably going to be getting them back sooner rather than later. But we've also got to reintegrate them within the club. We've moved on from the things that we were doing last year already. We're ahead of where we were at the end of last season. Those guys, we've got to get the new boys on board. We've got to get the guys that have been at the club and know a little bit more about us. We've got to get them rethinking our ways. If you've been with your national squad for 12 or 16 weeks, you've just had one thing rammed down your throat. You've forgotten everything that happened at Falcons, and quite rightly so, that's how it should be. But we've got to get those guys back thinking about what's important to us.